Winter is coming. That means it's time to hook up my Webasto gasoline heater. Welcome to Bob's Transit Van. Let's go. Alright, so I'm going to go over what came in the kit. I bought my kit from VMAX, that's VMACS, and their website is vmax.net if you're looking for a kit or parts. So the kit, of course, comes with an instruction manual, comes with a heater, comes with a mounting plate, comes with a gasket that goes on the heater, and then this gasket goes between the mounting plate and the floor of the van to seal up against the ridges in the floor. And these are the screws that mount the plate to the heater. Then we've got our air intake kit. Comes with the silencer, comes with 2 pieces of hose, comes with some brackets, and then we've got our exhaust kit. Comes with some more brackets, and you get this section of hose. Then you get another section, and you get the muffler. And this kit here, this is for mounting the exhaust and the intake to the heater. Comes with the clamps and some other brackets to mount your intake underneath the van. Okay, then right here we've got the fuel system. Got the bag with a pump, the rubberized hanger, some fuel line, and the electrical connector that goes onto the fuel pump. And in this bag we have our fuel filter, some more rubber hose, and a bunch of clamps. VMAX also puts in the kit the parts that you need to hook your fuel line into the Transit. So you have your forward part here, which hooks onto the top of your fuel tank, and then we've got a reducer piece here that goes from this barb down to a size that will fit the fuel line that comes with the kit, plus some clamps. In this kit we've got some wire loom so you can cover your fuel pipe, fuel line, and then these are the bolts that they give you for mounting the plate to the floor. Got a grate here that goes on your intake, keep any paper or garbage from getting sucked into the heater, and you got some cable ties if you need them to tie stuff up underneath the van. They also send you this fuel standpipe, but if you're doing this on a van, you really don't need it because all the vans have some form of auxiliary fuel connector. Over here we've got the label that you're supposed to put on your gas door. And this is the main harness. It's got the connectors to go to your battery. And VMAX sends you two pieces. This is for the electric going to the fuel pump. So depending on how far away it is from where your heater is. Now this is the rheostat control that comes with the kit, but I ordered the Smart Temp 2.0 controller. And here's the manual for that. And it comes with the controller. I've already got it mounted in the van. And it comes with another wire harness. This also has to be hooked to your power somehow. Now that was extra. The Smart Temp controller was another $269. And also what they don't include in the VMAX kit is your ducting and your ports. So I had to order that. It comes with the duct tubing and the inlet and the outlet. And it comes with the clamps that you need to clamp that to the heater. Alright, as far as tools go, I've got a 4-inch hole saw. I'm planning on using this to cut one hole in the floor for all the hoses and electrical to drop down underneath the van. We got a deburring tool, 10mm wrench. This is for tightening the plate down to the bottom of the heater. Then I've got the 13mm socket and some extensions and a ratchet. That's to loosen the bolts that hold the tank underneath the van so I can put the aux fuel port connector on. And since I'm adding a heater, I'm going to put a carbon monoxide detector in the van just for safety. Alright, so I've already installed the Smart Temp 2.0 controller on my control panel. The cable goes from here, comes out the back. That connector is attached to the Smart Temp, and then the wire harness hooks into that. And you have to hook in the Smart Temp wire harness to the regular wire harness and run them together up to where the controller is. So those cables go down behind the fridge, and then they come down here. There's a coil of extra cable there, and it comes down all the way to the connector that goes into the heater, and then the cable goes to power, goes in my cable tray there, goes up and hooks into my DC main distribution box. Alright, so I cut out this square or rectangle in my floor when I put it in, because I knew this is where I was going to install my Webasto heater. There's a screw right there. That is the middle of the open space underneath the van. I've already taken the mounting plate that comes with the heater underneath and it looks like all the holes will be inside that open space. So the next thing I'm going to do is set the mounting plate in there and drill out the holes for the bolts. Now it'd be easier to not have to go underneath there and try to tighten the nuts on the bottom, so I'm planning on putting in some plus nuts where the bolts go. So that's how the mounting plate fits in there, and it'll have a gasket underneath it that'll conform to the ridges on the floor of the van. So I'm going to drill the holes around the edge and then get the plus nuts put in so I can bolt this to the floor just from the top side. Alright, so I've got my holes drilled. I enlarged them so that a M6 plus nut will fit in there. I probably shouldn't have drilled out the two in the middle at the top and the bottom, because it's going to be hard to tighten those bolts up. I may just have to plug them with some bolts and some sealer. So I've got my plus nuts installed, and I cut out my 4-inch hole with a hole saw. That went really well. It cut right through that floor. The floor's not that thick, and that was a brand new hole saw, so it just cut perfectly. Now I gotta put some Rust-Oleum around the edge of the hole. Then I'm going to put my gasket and my plate in there and test fit the heater, make sure it's not going to hit the wood on either end. I already cut out a little bit on this end because even the plate was a little bit too tight. So I just want to make sure that the ends of the heater aren't going to rest on the wooden floor. Might have to cut out some more if it's too close. Here's what it looks like underneath the van. Alright, so I've got the base plate mounted in the van. I used all 8 screw holes. There's my relief cuts, so the heater will sit down in there all the way. Now it's time to put the heater in. Alright, so I've got the base plate gasket on there. I've got the little fuel hose that I can hook into when I run my fuel pump and everything. I've got the electric ran. I went ahead and put the end on it so I don't have to do it underneath the van. It's real easy though. And then I've got my air intake tube mounted on there. I'm hoping it'll all fit through the hole. I'm going to leave the exhaust off because I'm going to have to cut that piece, and it'd be easier if it's not hooked to the heater. Alright, time to try to put this in the van. Alright, there's the heater sitting in the mounting plate. I had to take the air intake hose off. The clamp was getting in the way, I think. So I'll have to put that on from underneath. Alright, there's the bottom. Each of these 4 studs on the heater will get a washer and a nut. Secures the heater to the mounting plate. And there's all the washers and nuts on there. I didn't tighten them super tight, just to Make sure it's secure. Alright, my exhaust run is done. Comes down out of the heater. Then I found a hole right up here that I enlarged a little bit and put a plus nut in. I mounted my muffler right there. And I went out of the muffler back here. There was another hole right behind this bump here. I put another plus nut in there, hung this bracket down, and exhaust goes right down to the ground, pointed at the ground away from the underside of the vehicle. Pretty short run. Alright, I've got my combustion air intake run. Comes out of the bottom of the heater, comes down, goes forward, and I've got a strap there to hold it in place, and then it goes over there, and the silencer is mounted to the crossbeam under the van. It's pretty sturdy. I may have to put another support over in that corner, but it's pretty good, I think. Alright, so I finally got my fuel lines run. I had to take the van into the dealership to have them drop the tank, because there's no way I was going to be able to do it in the driveway. So right there, right here, is where the hose comes out of the top of the tank. I got it going under that beam there, straight into the filter. And the filter's just tie wrapped up there. And then it goes down. And there's my fuel pump. And then the fuel line goes up straight into the bottom of the heater. And the electrical, I've got the wires coming out of the heater tie wrapped to my air intake all the way down to here, and then I've got the wiring harness that they give you coiled up right in here, and then it goes over and hooks into the fuel pump right here. So everything's pretty close on this because of the position of the heater. So I tried to keep everything clear of the exhaust as much as possible. So I've got the fuel line tie wrapped to the air intake right here, just to give it some room. But that's it for my Webasto install. I'll wait for a cooler day to try it out. One tip: if you have this hooked up, you need to have I left the coil of tubing right here, and it actually, well, of course I filled the tank up too, which might have been a mistake, and but it was actually siphoning gas out of the tank onto my driveway. So I came out this morning, there was a puddle of gas under the van, so I figured I better get this done. But I think it came out fairly well. I really didn't have any idea how I was going to do it until I had this hose coming out of the tank to see where exactly it was coming out. So I got the filter as close to the tank and easy to get to, so when I have to change this, it'll be easy. I'm supposed to do that every year. Alright, so that's the install of my Webasto heater. A couple tips is you have to raise the van up if you're going to drop the tank on your own. So if you have jacks and jack stands, you might be able to do it. But I had to take it to the dealership because there's no way I could do it on my driveway by myself. The other tip is get one of these. This big syringe, put a piece of the fuel adapters that come with the Webasto heater on there. Once you get your fuel lines all hooked up, unhook the side going into the fuel pump, put it in this end of the hole, and then you can just pull back on this and it'll draw fuel out of the tank and fill up your whole system, including your filter and all your lines. Then you won't have any problems with faults when you try to run your heater for the first time. If you want to watch a really good video on installing the Webasto, check out Van Life Outfitters. They've got an excellent video on how to install it. Well, I think that's it for this video. Have a great day.